Yeah, team.
Yeah, we're recording.
We're here.
We're back. Everyone's back home.
Finally.
Sav, it's been a long time since you've been. It feels like it's been years since you've been on the show. Every time we've done a fan question episode, you're like, "Oh, I'm in New Orleans. Oh, we're in Mexico. Oh, we're in Poland. Whatever it may be."
I just listened to one.
Year.
I just listened to I think it's the last one you guys did, and you're like, "Yeah, Sam hasn't been here for a mailbag in a really long time." And I was like, "Well, because I had a good run. I did one with Abby and then with Evan.
Yeah.
So I had been here, but it wasn't for a mailbag in kind of a while.
Yeah.
Like I've been gone traveling for a while, so
I've been a little lost.
Yeah.
I feel right back at home now. It feels good.
You're back at home in the blue count.
Oh yeah. Well, I used to sit over there, but this feels right.
True.
This feels right.
Yeah, you get the full. It's like an exit.
Oh yeah.
You're lounging.
Oh yeah. On my flight home from Poland, I had the whole 4-seat middle row to myself. That was
killer. So what's your preference? Like, I think that those are kind of tricky because you can lay down, but your head's hanging off and your feet are hanging off. You don't have anything to like lean your head against.
Oh,
for us,
the 4-person. Yeah, for me, I picked an aisle seat in the 3-seat row.
Okay.
And I got greedy. I looked like the row next to me was open. The 4-seat row. I was like, if I wanted because on the 3-seat one, my head's hanging off or my feet are hanging off, and they come by with the food cart, and I'm like that my feet are getting ripped off. Yeah, my hair is getting ripped out. So I got greedy, and I took right when I moved to the 4-seat, someone took my row. So I was like, oh my gosh, I hope boarding's done. I was kind of nervous, and it was phenomenal. Like, so I could lay fully flat, and I'm within the seat, so it's great.
Got it. It's great. That's a good welcome back. I mean, that's like, even though you didn't get a win in the main draw, that's your win. That's your reward for qualifying.
It is a win. It was great.
How was it, by the way? The venue? I haven't been there in 10 years, maybe.
It was really awesome. I'm more of a beach nature person than a city person. Right. Like if I go on vacation, like I don't really like going to cities. I get kind of overwhelmed, and like Ostrava was so like overwhelming for me, but this place was like amazing. It was beautiful. It was like a 2.5-hour drive from Warsaw. Right. There's a closer airport. It was a little more expensive. Yeah, it was a little more expensive to fly it. I think that's like an hour and a half. But it was beautiful. The courts were great. The venue was awesome on a lake.
Hotel
up top, was great.
On the hill, and you walk down, right?
Yep. Okay. The only negative, I think, to the whole thing was the lightning delays were tough, but I think they managed really well. They put us all in a WhatsApp group chat, and they had just, constant, they were updating us constantly with that. It rained a little bit, but there was just a lot, like the qualifier day, there was like, how long? 5-hour delay, lightning delay. And it rained hard for like 45 minutes, and then it kind of was sprinkling here and there, but
they had that sweet indoor pool, right?
I didn't go in at all. That trip was kind of, those trips are always a blur for me, especially when I have to qualify. I'm like so on edge. So lightning was tough, and then the warm-up courts, at least the day of the qualifier, there's 4 on-site courts, and then there's a warm-up court, and then across the street from the hotel there was 2 other warm-up courts. And the day of the qualifier, they let the main draw teams reserve the warm-up court on site. Okay. So we had to warm up like up top, and then it's like a 10-minute walk down. It's not that far, but it's weird. Like, how do you time your game? You're like checking your phone, looking at updates. So that was a little bit funky. And then I had to play on the warm-up court for my second match because of the delay. They wanted to get it done. But other than that, it was phenomenal. Like, it was cool. The trophies, I was talking to Trav, they're like, I think the first place trophies were like,
oh yeah,
literally this big. They were humongous.
How do you bring that home?
I know. It was crazy. It was cool. But yeah, I loved it. I would definitely go back. Stefan Bormans was like raving about it, and he's been to way more events than I have. So I was like,
surprised he's ever been. Oh, that was his first time, right?
I think so. Yeah, he's been to probably most of the events, at least in the last couple of years. Yeah, and he was like so stoked on it.
When's the last time they've been to Stare Jablonki? Because all the older players, like you and the Browers and those guys, maybe love, like they're obsessed with that stop.
No, maybe 14, 15.
Okay.
There's a bowling alley in the hotel. I don't know if it's a new thing. There's like a bowling alley downstairs, and I walked down there to go. The gym is down there. It's a teeny tiny little gym, and then there's a massive photo of Alisson on the wall, and I'm like, is that Alisson? Like play. They had like 4 athletes, like big, massive photos. And Alison was one of them. I'm like, Alison? Like,
really funny.
in this bowling alley, downstairs, like basement of this hotel. It was so random, but yeah, it was rad. It was cool.
Well, you've had a rad year in general. It's funny because it started out not great in Brazil. And the great part was that we got to run into you for a while, for a couple of weeks. But then ever since then, once you and Abby started playing together, you had a hell of a season.
Yeah, it's been fun. And it's funny because, like, if you look at just finishes, it's not like I qualified for both these challenges. I didn't break pool. I took a 9th in Huntington. Like, we won a Norsega and we took a 3rd in Norsega, which is good. But Norsega for me, like, I want to be winning those consistently. Like,
I think the win for the U.S. women, those Norsega qualifiers are so hard.
Yeah.
Getting into the Norsega is the hard part.
Yeah.
And then
if you're not about the qualifier.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah. No, it has. And that's the thing. Is like when you look at results alone, you're like, well, I just took a 150-point finish again. Gained nothing. Sucks. But I feel like we're playing amazing volleyball. I feel like I'm at the best point I've been in mentally with my confidence on the court. My mom was in Huntington. She was like, I've never seen you shoot so many different shots, like, ever. Usually I'm like high line, hit angle. And I've just been working on a lot of different stuff and vision and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it's been exciting. Like, results, like I would love to get like higher finishes, but I feel like volleyball wise, it's been really fun. And playing with Abby is, I think, exactly what I needed. I think we suit each other really well, and I've absolutely loved playing with her. And I think she has so much potential. I think as a team we have so much potential, and it's fun. Like, she's learning so much about the travel, and like there's so many little things that she's just never experienced. So I almost feel like a veteran, which is funny. Like, we kind of talked about on the show with her, and but yeah, I'm like in a really, really good spot with all of it. It's been fun.
Yeah, because even though you don't have the really good finish to come with it, you have a lot of really good wins. You beat Nanook and Joanna. The Chinese team that you beat to get into Poland's main draw is a very good team. You beat Haley and Kylie, which is a win that looks better and better.
Yeah.
So here's a question kind of for both of you. Would you rather have a good finish where the draw worked out, they didn't have to beat anyone great?
Right.
Or would you rather play really good volleyball, lose to a very good team the way that you have, and take like a 13th or whatever?
It's impossible to answer.
I mean, I want to say I'd rather just have a good finish. Yeah. And the more money, more points, more everything. But sometimes, like in Cuba, for example, we won in Cuba and it was so windy. So like, I feel like beating Haley and Kylie was really big. They were playing really well. But we beat them at a game that I feel like suits us. It was super windy. And like being at UCLA, like Stein was like wind ball, wind. Like, we know how to play in the wind. And so like beating them felt really good because that's a team we hadn't beat yet and they're playing really well. But I feel like if it's that windy, we should beat that team 9 out of 10 times because that game is better for us than it is for, say, Kylie. Like, she's just super tall and has less beach experience. So it's like, and then we played Alanis and Maria in the final, who was a really, really good team. But again, I feel like we should beat them too.
Win ball team, though.
Really, they smacked us in pool play. Smashed because it was that windy. But yeah, sometimes if you win like that, it just doesn't feel as good. Like my Hermosa second feels way different than my La Paz second.
Right. I bet.
So, even though that was at home and it was with Megan, it was all kind of craziness. The La Paz finish we just played arguably better teams.
Isn't it funny? I mean, it's funny to look back on that. That's the same Olympic race.
Yeah.
That happened. For a long time, you and Tony were in like the top 10 in the Olympic rankings.
I know. And then it just
started off on a heater.
Went like that. It's a freaking sport. And now you like have one finish and you hold on to that for like forever. Yeah. And then you have so many like average finishes and you're like, gosh, maybe it's just like not working. I don't know. You finish, you want to finish and then you don't do well. And then you take a 5th in Manhattan and you're like, oh, we're 2nd in Denver. And you're like, okay, we're there. We're great. And then it just, it just didn't work out.
It's tough to set the bar so high too.
Yeah.
Like winning early on is like you put the target on your back.
Totally.
So now teams are getting hyped up for you. But I don't know.
I'd way rather be a sleeper team.
It's all just up in the air. Like everyone's got such a different journey.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
based on things they're dealing with and all that.
I think the biggest thing with the Olympics and just the sport in general, and that I've worked on a lot, is not comparing my journey to someone else's, because it's like for a long time I compared myself to Kristen and Taryn because they're my year in college,
Right.
and it's hard to not like look at those people who like you graduate the same year and not be like, why am I not having this kind of success? Obviously they're an anomaly and they're phenomenal. Nothing but support and respect for them, but it is tough to like not compare. Like, why am I not doing these things when I compete? Every time I play them, I lose them like 15-13 in the third set.
Yeah.
But they're getting these results, and I'm
at the same time. It's like, luck's the wrong word, not the word I'm looking for, but like, you didn't find your long-term partner that you knew you're going to play with in college, you know, and it happens to be a absolutely world-class.
Well, then maybe you did.
Blocker, or maybe you did.
Maybe I did.
Right?
Maybe I did. I know.
But for them, it's like, there's no decision making. There's no like finding. There's no like retuning to someone else. They didn't even have to move.
No.
It's just, we're just good. We believe it. This is my team. We're going to go for it. Oh, we are as good as we think we are. Wow, we're going to the Olympics.
So it's crazy.
Obviously, I'm downplaying it.
Yeah.
For, you know,
well, it's
great they've been, but
in a way, it's sort of
that's really hard to come by.
It kind of mirrors what happened with you and Hayden. Just like for you guys, it was kind of a chance thing that happened. You thought you were just kind of like being his practice dummy. He's like, hey, let's go. And then all of a sudden, you guys were in the top 10 in the world for however many years.
Yeah. Different, but same. Well, just, I'm saying, like, in terms of just getting a partner, like a long term. They've already been together longer than
2020.
With.
Yeah.
They've been together
4 years.
4 years pro?
3 years pro. 2020, Atlanta was their first pro.
Okay.
Well, in
2021, Atlanta was their first as a team.
Yeah, before they did all the AVP next and stuff. But 2020, that's another thing. Like, they were living in a place where they, during COVID, could go. Like Evan, too, they were going, I guess I could have flown too, but being from in California, like, COVID was really serious. That's what everyone made it out to be.
Right.
Being in the South, where they were flying to tournaments. Evan gained the Southwest Companion Pass A-list from flying so much during COVID for tournaments. Yeah. So they were just like going all these tournaments, winning all these tournaments, and like crushing.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, they did it right, and then they've been unreal since. It's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. It works. Like when you get that sort of stroke of like fortune.
Well, it's like if Carrie was a little younger or whatever, and then she didn't link up with Misty.
Right.
They look a lot different. If Todd Rogers never had Phil Allhauser, he probably maybe will still be in the Hall of Fame, but no way his resume looks even close to what it is.
Yeah.
Not even half.
Especially when you think about like all the little things that happen. Like one of the main reasons that Todd and Phil got together was because Sean Scott like broke his pinky or something and couldn't play in world championships. And Todd was like, because Phil and Nick had moved up to Santa Barbara, and so they trained with him. But Todd always thought Phil was really lazy.
Right.
Because I'm not going to pick this guy. But then they took like a 7th or something at world championships.
He got behind it. He was like, that was pretty easy.
That was pretty good.
that was a lot for me behind that.
Yeah. So you look at these little things that the universe kind of throws into the mix when you like the butterfly effect of these tiny little things that happen. It goes pretty far.
Kind of Andy and Miles too. Like timing wise. Either of them could have got picked up via a veteran, had someone done it before season was over kind of thing, but then they go to Maldives or whatever together and then just like boom, linked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like honeymoon phase at the perfect time. Granted, like their honeymoon phase was winning Stog.
Pretty good.
But yeah, it's, I guess back to your point, and just like can't compare journeys at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, even though it's impossible not to.
Well, that's we're competing against each other. So,
right.
And then you also like build up an identity for yourself, like we talked about this on the last pod, but an identity based on what you want your results to be, right? Because you kind of have to believe it first, right? So like Olympic stuff, why is it so devastating when you lose it? Because you believed you were that person, and now you're not. And it feels like a lie, right? Like it just doesn't feel right. So I don't know. It's a lot.
It's a lot to unwind
Let's throw a wide there. We need Gervais back on. How often does Gervais' name come up on our podcast?
Dude, how about the flex that Mel and Brandy put flying Gervais out to a Strava? That's a power move.
It's a power move for sure.
Do you work with a sports psych?
Yeah, Alex works with the USA.
Yeah.
At the USA gym.
Okay.
Cushing.
Yeah, Cushing. Yeah,
Got it.
he's been great. I just think having the space to talk to someone, like, because sometimes he will tell me, like, he's given me a lot of like really good nuggets, and then sometimes he'll just like be like, "Hey, like, you're a badass," or "Hey, we've talked about this before." Like, I just like having the space to
The Little Prince.
the space. Like, if I don't schedule meetings with him consistently, I don't schedule the meetings. I just like I forget. I'm think, oh, I need to go to the gym and I need to do this, and like I forget about the whole sports psych part of it. But I've been scheduling meetings with him like the day before a tournament, or like, you know, every other week I'm kind of with him, and it's been really, really good for me just to have the space to like get things out there. Like before Huntington qualifier, I was like so nervous because I was like, I feel like I deserve to be in the main draw, and I feel like we're the one seed in the qualifier, and we should come in like so confident, but you don't want to be overconfident and sleep on these teams that you don't know. And you know, so it was great talking to him then, and we talked to him before Poland, and he's been awesome. So between him and literally The Confident Mind, which we've already talked about, reading that book
comes up every other podcast.
It's so good. It's been so helpful. Like now when I'm getting served, I'm like, yeah, effing serve me. And I used to not be like that, and now I'm like, okay, I just got blocked 3 times. I'm gonna hit it again, and I'm not gonna get blocked this. You know what I mean? Like I feel like my mindset is just so different. And then I've also, you know, talking to Joey, like he's been so good. So there's been a lot of people who have helped with the mental side. But yeah, he's been great.
And Joey's like a redneck sports psych.
He's what I need. He's what I need for sure. He's so
Savvy, just be a badass.
Oh yeah. When in doubt, just remember, just be a badass. Like we'll have a full hour and a half of conversation about whatever it is. It could be anything with us too. And then he's like, just remember, at the end of the day, you're a badass. Don't forget that. I'm like, you're right. This whole conversation we didn't even need to have. You just need to tell me I'm a badass, and that's all I needed to know. But yeah, there's been Evan, of course, too. Like the amount of hours we spend breaking things down and talking about little things. It's important to have that support system and be able to talk to a whole group of people about anything and everything. Yeah.
And I think that this is the best volleyball I've seen you play. And even though the results are still lagging a little in some respects not, I think the fact that you beat a Nook and then almost ran through the whole Swiss Federation in Guadalajara, and then you qualify in Poland and almost do it again. And in that, I mean, you take Luisa and Laura to 3, going to the Olympics, took Esme and Zoe to 3 again, 2 of the best serving teams in the world, and probably going to the Olympics. We'll see.
Yeah.
This might be dated when this podcast comes out. But what do you think that you've seen in your game that's improved year over year?
Well, like I said, I think the confidence, the mental side of it is probably the most improved, as well as my offense. I think I've always been super fast, and I've relied a lot on like my defense to get, like, my game has always revolved a lot around like, if I'm digging balls, I'm playing really well. Like like a lot of people, it's like they're hitting or they're blocking or serving. Like that's what kind of fires mine's my defense. And thankfully I feel like my defense is probably one of my strongest things, and an area where I've worked really hard on it, like one hand touches and stuff, but an area also where I feel like I'm more lucky in that regard. And you know, we worked so much on setting in college, so I feel like I'm a pretty decent setter too, but offensively since college, I feel like I've really struggled. Just I'm 5'10", I jump well, not crazy, but I jump well, and I've definitely had to change the way I approach my offense. I used to just hit every ball in college and get away with it, or just shoot fast line all day, and you just don't read as well in college. Like you run 1s and 4s in college. This is what you do. And I'd get blocked maybe once a game, and I'd get dug on a high line once a game. And other than that, it was like, and this is like my senior 5th year. My freshman, sophomore, junior year, like I was not like that. But senior year, my 5th year, I felt super dominant offensively. And then I come out here and I'm just getting dug and blocked off the court. And then I started making errors. I started making more errors. I think I was trying to do too much, not being smart with like a yellow or red light situation.
Right.
And so for the past like year, offensively, I've been working on my offense the most, and what I've worked with Joey the most on every time I go to New Orleans is working on my offense. And I was in the USA development group. I was with Jen, Snyder, and Scott for a long time, and I worked on that arm swing for a really, really long time. And so I think over the last like 6 months, I've taken little pieces from many different people. Like I like Jen and Scott, the mechanics, especially when you're out of system. Like it really helps, like staying high deep, like a seam swing, like into the deep middle when the blocker pulls, or like a good, like a good chop shot from the right side, and like finishing that swing, and then taking pieces from Joey about like staying aggressive and hitting hard, and then like getting more creative, like shooting more baby line versus high line, and all kinds of different things. But I think that my offense has been the piece that I've worked on the most, and I think that's been the most improved. But also, for me at least, my offense isn't good unless I'm feeling confident in it and feeling confident in myself. I think volleyball, sports in general, but volleyball are just so mental.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I've developed a lot of tools offensively, and now I feel like the mental side of it's coming in as well, where it's like if I make an error or get blocked or get dug, it's like I'll go back to that same shot, or I'll swing the next ball. I don't care if Luis is blocking me. I'm gonna rip if I feel confident in that.
Yeah.
And so I think those are the pieces that have definitely been the biggest improvement for me. And every day it's like I need to work on hand. Like I was with you the other day, I need to work on hand sitting from the left side. Like I have a hard time like tracking it from that side, and my left hand has kind of gone to shit because I've been working so much on my offense that now I don't know how to dig with my left hand anymore. So like little things like that always pop up.
That's huge. Like just building a wide variety in your arsenal is huge, I think. And it's like you just have to like tap it here and there. Sometimes we just get so in our zone, our like 2 or 3 go-to swings, and then people scout that, and then you stay stubborn about it, and then you're like, oh, I'm in a funk, I don't know what's wrong. And it's like, well, let's practice a cut shot. You just go to practice, and you practice that cut shot, and then maybe a high seam, and now you go back into it, you have 5 shots, and they're naturally coming out. Like you didn't even think about it, probably, yet your mom saw it, right? Like you're hitting a bunch of shots, and you're like, yeah, well, I worked on the this and that, and it just came out in the game. Yeah, it's sometimes that simple, but in our heads we're just like tripping, like I think I forgot how to play. Whereas, and that's like to a T for me. Like Travis tells me something, you haven't pulled in a while or like done anything. It's like, just make me do it like 20 times, and you'll see it a lot in the game. It'll come. Yeah. It just comes out. So I think that's important to like remember, like in those offensive ruts, it's like, let's just give ourselves a few more weapons, because then you have those bailouts, and I don't know. Sometimes it's just that simple. It's quick reps.
If you throw in a cut shot,
even in warm-ups,
your coach is cut shot.
Exactly.
It's like one cut shot, even if it's like not that good, it can open your offense up so, because then that's something, at least for me as a defender, I'm like, okay, they did hit a cut shot. Yeah, like you're watching them, you're scouting them, you're like, okay, they've hit 2 cut shots, but they prefer the high line, but you don't want to just bail and go like.
Your coach is like, this team does not have cut shots. We're giving up the cut shots. First game, first play, cut shot. Now what? Yeah. In your head, you're like, coach,
what do I do? Literally, it's that simple. So just trying to. We were working on like jumbos yesterday. Like literally throwing anything different than your normal, what people would scout against you, and it's like you hit one ball.
Yeah, if you get dug on it.
Exactly. Yeah. They have to think about it now. Yeah. So that's so true. So
adding a couple extra tools is always good.
Always.
Yeah, I think the mental side, I think, is the biggest differentiator between the great and the elite, because the margins are so fucking small. Like we talk about it a lot. If you take 5 points and you spread it out across the season to just change one way or the other, you could have a drastically different year. You could go from like number 30 in the world rankings to number 8.
100%.
And that's not physical. Like that's a mental thing.
Yeah.
I think.
I think every player on the World Tour knows how to lock in and play at the best player in the world level. But as you get to the top, it's who can lock in through once we get to 15. Then let's look at who can re-lock in at that point. And then let's look at who can get to 18 and then re-lock in consistently, and then 21. And I think that's where the separation comes. Everyone's elite. Everyone's got the talent. But then you see some people at 18 all, they're consistently a different player. And that team's top 10 potential in the world is 47th.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's that big of a gap.
Yeah.
For that just little mental thing that like pops in, it tends to happen at 18 all or whatever it is.
Something that's been honestly really good for me in my confidence is the more I've been watching and playing in these tournaments and AVPs and FIVBs, I have watched so many teams be up 19-16 or be up 19-8, whatever it is, 20-18, and blow it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you feel like you're the only one who's done that before, and you feel like the world is ending, and then you watch like multiple people do it. Yeah. Like that happens more often than not in this sport. I feel like when you're watching these high level teams, like it's not over till it's over.
Well, something does change there.
Yeah,
and I think that's a mistake people make. Is like 18 all, nothing changed. It's like, well, it did, so you can ignore it. Like the pressure's on, and you had the thought now.
Yeah.
So you got to like deal with it and know how to go through it. Whereas people try to block it out. No, I'm not nervous. It's not 18 all.
This is real.
This is like, and then they get tight. Whereas I think it's just if you know you have your outs and you're confident you can get through it. 18 all. Wow, bad swing. 19 all. Oh, recognized it. Got my routine. Boom, I'm back or whatever. I mean, that's half the reason I don't look at the score, because I want to play the same when the pressure's on as when it's. So it's like 16 all, and I'm just not paying attention to the score. I'm just like, go, 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 go. I know we're close. I know it's somewhere at the end. Don't even look. And that's why I do it, so it doesn't change my. And then if I see the score, then I'm like, okay, acknowledged, come back, boom. And I feel like that's helped me. That's a constant battle, though. You have to like actually be making an effort to make.
Totally.
In my opinion.
Yeah, it's just crazy to see how often it happens in this sport. Like 2 points is nothing. Sometimes it feels like the biggest you can't score to save your life. Like, and then sometimes it's like 2 points can go that fast. And it's, at least for me, it's been helpful to like be like, okay, I'm not the only one who's done that, who's blown a 19-16 lead. That happens all the time. Yeah. And like you said, the elite, it happens to way less often. But in this sport too, you can be up 19-16 and do nothing wrong with the other team. Gets a AAA serve, makes a sick dig, crazy scramble play. Like it could be not even your fault, and it just happens that way. But like seeing that and noticing that that's like just a part of the game, and like I said, there for a while there, at like 18 all or 19 all, I would get like that feeling of like, oh, I got to finish it. Like I have a chance, and then I started putting that pressure on myself in practice, like. 19 all, like this is good practice for me. Let's finish it. When it's like, in the grand scheme of things, it's just another point. Obviously, there's more pressure because of the score, but it's just another side out.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? The greatest thing you can do at that time is make sure that you come with all 5 of your weapons.
100%.
When you come to side out that ball, come with all 5.
Mm-hmm.
So many people show up with 2 at that moment. And people watch you.
Throwing your clutch shot.
We all know what you like to do, and now you're going to do it.
Yes.
Like, no, just that little slap down.
Yeah.
Or, that soft. Nobody wants to get dug on a cut shot for the game or something like that. But, like, if that's the right shot, make it and take it.
Yeah.
You have to be in that neutral frame of mind to do it.
Totally.
Yeah.
I remember when me and A-Rob played Kame and Theo in Russia, and we were 14-11. They side out, block A-Rob, and they served me. And I played my best match up to that point. There was only one thing I was doing. I was swinging as hard as I can at the angle. And Theo was like, well, yeah. Just straight down. You get twice in a row. And I was just like, I like came out from like a daze. I was like, whoa. Just that.
Yeah. 15-14. What?
That's what, I mean, that's the go-to, right? It's just game's online, need a side out, just swing as hard as you can.
Yep.
What's the blockers thing? Game's on the line. He's going to swing as hard as he can. So
Probably angle.
probably Eric. Whereas like this little no look chizzy line, because their blocker's going to, even if they're blocking line, they're going to want to press into that. If you come in hard, just that little chizzy line.
Yep.
Game over.
Yeah.
Didn't need to do anything crazy.
No, that's why I was really impressed.
Or go make them dig a ball inside out.
Yeah.
How about you let them lay out, get up, make a perfect set, and then what are they going to do? Swing. So you stuff them.
That's why I was super impressed with Tegan Van Gunst today. So her and Kim Hildreth, did you watch any of Ostrava today?
No.
So her and
Not
Kim,
theirs.
her and Kim were smashing this Brazilian team. Really good Brazilian team. Vitória de Souza and Hegel. You might have played, I think you played them in Recife maybe. And they're up 20-14. Brazil sides out, earn 1, earn 2, earn 3, and Kim starts making these crazy panicky plays, like going over the platform right to Victoria, and Tegan's getting pissed, and then they switch sides, and Brazil had to have been an accident, served like a muffin right at Tegan, and Tegan comes in, and I would have thought, barrel in, haven't had many opportunities, you just want to put the match away, and just smooth, perfect high line for the match, cool and calm. It's like, that was impressive.
Yeah.
Because, like, you could just see they were just getting tighter and tighter and clenching. I was like, oh, good to you guys. Yeah. Their first elite main draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that was a big day. That was a big day.
They beat Tana Silva and Victoria Lopez, and then they beat Hegel and Victoria. Like, those are 2 legit wins.
Yeah, legit. Yeah, I was stoked for them. Kim in Poland was so awesome. I haven't spent a ton of time with Kim, and Kibby was there too. Just quick shout
Kibby's
out.
at home.
They're great people. They were awesome.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, part of the mental game that I wanted to chat with you about, Sav, are these crazy panic attacks that you get. So I was like preparing to write the story, having the story be Diana and Lexi, because they qualified before you guys in Poland. And they have a funny story because they bought the flight last second, go over there. Lexi hits Kylie in the head so hard that she has to forfeit. Like, only Lexi Denenberg can do that to another blocker.
Beast.
And so I'm like, all right, perfect. Easy story. Sav qualifies. Let's get like a quick quote from Sav. And then you come back. You had a panic attack on the plane. You had a panic attack in the middle of a match. You had a panic attack at night. And I was like, well, that probably would have been a story I was already written. So what, can you just give a rundown of like what goes on? Like, what happens?
Yeah. And I'll preface it with like, it's hard for people to explain or for people to understand if they've never like had panic attacks really before. These are things that have been happening to me for years, and I feel like I've gotten super good at managing. I posted about it, but doing the 75 hard thing was awesome. Like I think I had like 1 panic attack that whole time. So I'll give kind of the whole story. I haven't been drinking very much because I noticed during 75 hard that kind of like started sending me. Like, drinking causes anxiety, depression, all these things, and I started just journaling lots of things that have triggered me, and drinking's for sure one of them. Lack of sleep is one of them.
Yeah, my whoop just like
it's like you're
automatic with alcohol.
Terrible.
Yeah.
So my heart rate if I go and have a couple drinks and sleep, my heart rate will be like average of like 78.
Yeah.
Like average. It's like so bad. It's so bad.
Straight poison.
And so before we left, Evan and Abby, they were like, let's do a wine and cheese night. And for some reason, that just seemed like the greatest. Like, that is like my happy.
Right.
Like,
that's true.
That is my favorite.
Drinking wine
with friends with a cheese board. Evan's cooking steak. It's sunset. It's summertime. I could not be happier. Like, nothing could make you. If my dog was there, that could be the only thing that could make me happier. Like, literally, I was so. You can ask Evan. I was like crying. It just sounded like the best night ever. And I had like 2 glasses of wine, 2 or 3 maybe. Like, not even that much. I wasn't hungover. My Oura ring showed like my heart rate was pretty high, but I got on the plane the next day, and I don't like flying either because, which this may be crazy to people, but like I have super bad health anxiety. That's where my anxiety stems from. Like, I don't really stress. I don't like have panic attacks about volleyball. I never had panic attacks about like exams. I have panic attacks about like dying. So this is kind of dark. Sorry to anyone listening, but like that's like it's many people's biggest fears is death, obviously, but mine is like so am a very extroverted, exaggerated person, and so like my thoughts are that same way too. So like if I have a headache, I'm having a brain aneurysm. If my chest hurts, I'm having a heart attack. Like there's no in between. And I've always been like that. If my parents don't answer the phone, they died in a car accident. That's how I was when I was like little, like crazy stuff like that, like crazy extreme. So I got on the plane. Well, that morning I woke up and my legs were just feeling so sore. I lifted the day before, but they were feeling really like swollen and like weird. And I was like, it must be it must have been from drinking. So I haven't been drinking very much. So I felt just like really inflamed, and I kind of was worried about the flight. I'm like, I have a 12-hour flight today. Like, I don't know. I put my feet up and I'd Normatect and whatever. And about like 4 hours into the flight, my legs were so swollen, and I don't get that kind of like. My ankles get a little swollen when I fly, but I've never worn compression anything because I usually don't have that problem like some people do. I don't really get like that. And my legs were so swollen. I was so uncomfortable. My shoulders felt swollen. I was like, what is wrong with me? And I'm on the flight with Abby and her mom and grandma. They're all on the plane. I'm sitting kind of on my own. But they're on the plane, which is great. I like flying with people because like I've had this irrational fear. Like I get a chest pain or I get something which leads to a panic attack, which makes you feel like you're going to die even more because you can't breathe. Right. You're shaking, your heart's racing, you feel like you're going to pass out, so you feel you're going to die anyways. And then you're on a plane. Yeah, I'm like, good spot. What if I'm actually dying and I'm in this airplane over the Atlantic Ocean? I'm dead. Right. Like that thought that goes into my head like all the time. It's so bad. Yeah. And I've gotten for the amount of times I've flown, like I've gotten so much better at that. But like, if I get a chest pain or a headache or nausea or whatever, I'm like, I've had this before. I haven't died. I'm probably gonna be okay. Like I've gone to that point in my life where some things kind of trigger me still. If I drink or I'm on my period or something like that, like I'm not as clear. Like it's hard. Sometimes that exacerbates things, but I've never had this like inflammation. And so I got up and I kind of walked around and I just felt like my heart was racing. So I was like, okay, I'm having a little panic attack. Like, I've never felt like this before. I'm going to walk around. It's going to go away in like 10 minutes. I'll be fine. Meanwhile, Abby is asleep. Abby, her mom, and the grandma, we call her Q-Tip. She's awesome. She's upstairs in business class, like thriving. So I'm kind of on my own. Double decker. That's fun. So I'm like, I'm going to take a couple laps. I'll be fine. And I go to the flight attendant. I'm just like shooting the shit with her. She's so nice talking. And I'm like, I don't know why I asked this. Like, this was like recipe for disaster. But I'm like, she's also fully... I think Lufthansa is a German airline, right? Where are they based? Swiss? I don't know. She's foreign, but she can speak decent English. So I'm like, hey, do you ever get like swollen? I was thinking she would talk me off the ledge. Right. I'm like, do you ever get like swollen? Like, you're like, she's like, yeah, that's super normal and whatever. I'm like, yeah, she's like, yeah, it can be really dangerous though. I'm like, she's like, not for you because you're young and healthy, but you know, you could die. Like some older people could get the blood clots, and she didn't know how to say it, but I knew what she was talking about, and I fucking lost it. I was like, I'm gonna die. So I kept taking laps, and I didn't want to wake up Abby because she's sleeping. I ended up having to wake her up, and for me, sometimes just telling someone I'm having a panic attack just kind of makes it go away. Yeah, because then someone just like a release. Yeah, it's just a release. Right? Exactly.
Worst comes to worst, they're gonna tell someone. And
but I spent like 35 minutes like walking the plane. Like I actually went up. I somehow snuck into business class to go talk to grandma. She was asleep. She like never sleeps on planes, and she happened to be asleep. So I was like, I have to wake up Abby. I woke her up, and it was fine. But that was like a rough start to the trip. I haven't had a panic attack on a plane in a long time, and so that was kind of like. And of course, I'm looking at the map, and we're just going over the ocean. I'm like, if I'm actually having an issue, I'm so screwed. Like we're not over. So I'm like, we're over land, they could land, and I might live. It's so messed up. Then I go. We get there, everything's great. I don't sleep the whole night. I don't sleep. I don't do well with the jet lag. And then I get in Ostrava last year. I don't know if you remember this. I didn't sleep. I was traveling with Tony. I didn't sleep for 5 days, 5 full nights straight.
Remember that?
No sleep.
Where was that again?
Ostrava.
In Ostrava.
So we land in Prague. I've never also had like a jet lag sleep thing. I've also traveled with Evan a lot. So like we fly to all these places. Life's great with my boyfriend. I don't sleep on the plane. I knock out. I'm already on the time zone. Life is good. But I go to Ostrava. Evan's not there. And the first night in Prague, I didn't sleep. And I think it was because, like, I don't know, obviously the jet lag, but I slept a bit on the plane, and then Evan's home, and everyone at home's awake. So I'm kind of like, my brain's just on. So the next night and the next day, I feel very anxious. Like when I don't sleep, I get more anxious. So it's kind of this like horrible spiral thing that happens. And so the next night I got this like pit in my stomach because I wanted to sleep so bad that I was like panicking that I wasn't sleeping. And that went for like 5 days. No sleep.
That's brutal.
No, and I'm laying there like, people are always like, have you tried this? I'm like, when you're up at 4 a.m. for the 4th night in a row, you've tried everything, every meditation app, every breathing exercise, cold shower, warm shower, sleeping on the floor, sleeping on the couch, sleeping in the bed, like headphones, no headphones, movie, book, anything, and you still can't sleep. Like, I felt like I needed to go to a psych ward. Like, I was like so not okay. And then I played. This is still in a Strava. And I played well. Like we lost to Carol and Barbara in the last round to get in, and sucked to lose, but we played well. And I ended up coming home. And I got some meds. I don't take meds for my anxiety because I don't want to. I don't want to be reliant. In my opinion, I think meds are awesome for people, but for me, like, I don't respond very well to medication, and I think it's actually kind of more of a Band-Aid versus like I want to solve the problem. But yeah, it was just another situation like that. I go and I don't sleep. I take a Xanax. I'm prescribed it. I looked at it. I don't need a TUE. Like, I'm all clear. I take it. It doesn't really help me sleep. The next day, I don't sleep again till like 5 a.m. And then finally at like 4 or 5 a.m., I fall asleep for like 3 hours. So I feel like a crazy person, like not sleeping. And then that day we actually ended up switching hotels because there was no AC in the one we were in, and that obviously makes your sleep worse. And I had a really bad panic attack that night because I just felt very they call it like dissociation. The best way I can explain it is like when you wake up from a like 4-hour nap and you feel like you're in cuckoo land. You're like so out of it when you wake up from a long nap.
Nap hangover. That's
how I feel all the time.
Wow.
And when I get like anxious and stuff, I feel like that. And it feels like you're like going through the motions. And I felt like that for a long time. And I kind of just started panicking about it. And so I had a bad one that night. And then during the game against China, we're warming up and it's like kind of raining. We're on these like weird courts and it's been this weird weather delay. The lighting is super weird. And I think I was having like I don't know if it was like a sensory overload or my brain. Like I just felt that kind of super spacey feeling. Part of it's probably nerves too for the game. And I started the game like on fire. Like I'm playing phenomenal. The whole first set, I think it was like an adrenaline thing. And then like kind of the early part of the second set, that adrenaline kind of wears off and I start feeling that kind of foggy feeling again. And I give up like 5 points in a row. And then, of course, I'm like, shit, like, check in. Like, you're playing a game, and I was so worried about, like, I felt, like, numb almost. And that feeling for me is just super triggering, as it would be for anyone. It's like a full dissociation from what you're doing. And you're like...
such a large investment. You invested so much being in that moment, in that place.
Yeah.
Traveling, physically, mentally, training. And you're like, this is how I'm going to feel?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And
I know, like, I haven't been sleeping, and it's a new environment, and I was also like on my period, so I think that the hormones, like, I think it was just the perfect storm of things. I had a panic attack on the plane, like all these things, and I was able to like check back in, and we won the match, but after I just crumbled because it was like to have to play a game and win a game when you're like feeling. It's not like I have a stomach ache or I have a headache. I literally am like losing my mind. I'm like spiraling, and it's not even about volleyball. But then, of course, when you give up 5 points, you're like, F. Like, then you're stressing about the game. Right. But I couldn't even think straight. I thought I was going to pass out. I thought I was going to die. I thought it was
survival mode.
I was in full survival mode. That's only happened a couple of the times while I've been playing. Usually when I play, that's kind of like my escape from all the anxiety and stuff. And funny story, we switched sides. I think I sided out, and I was trying to, like, I told Abby, of course, I'm like, hey, I'm like going through something right now. I don't feel well. Like I'm really out of it. I'm not very much there. And she was awesome. Great energy. And Chase and Miles and Kim Hildreth, and they're all there watching and cheering for us. It was so nice. We had a whole group. And I said, when I switched sides, I go back to serve, and I said, I'm effing choking. And I said it to, like, as a joke almost, because I was choking on the volleyball court. But I wasn't even thinking about that. I was trying to like make a joke so that I could like
just quick call yourself
anything to like get my mind off of. And so Miles and they talked to me after the game, and they gave me some really encouraging tips for like the mental side of the game and like how to talk more positively to myself. And I was so stoked that we've been working with Dan a little bit, and like I feel like we're kind of like him, Miles and Chase and me and Abby are like a little team now, and they cheering for us and we're cheering for them, and it's actually really cool. They like went out of their way to watch us, and they were so nice, but I didn't know how to tell them that like I wasn't stressed about the game and my volleyball performance. I was going through something that I it's hard to explain to someone that's never been through it. Like, how do you tell someone you're having, like, of course I think I'm like saying I'm choking because I'm sucking, and they like take that as I'm talking poorly to myself, when in reality I'm so like in my own head about something about my health, something about my mind, not even about volleyball, and I'm trying to make a joke. And it's a weird twisted thing that's hard to explain unless you've been through it. And even if you have panic attacks, like you may not even experience it the same way that I experience it and get that super foggy feeling. And yeah, so that just is a whole nother layer of what I go through. I get that feeling a lot. I get it a lot when I think a lot of it has to do with adrenaline, and like, usually when you get super excited or nervous and there's adrenaline, you get like shaky and you get all this certain way. Sometimes it actually sucks my energy, I think, because I don't know.
You like short circuit.
Yeah. And when I'm warming up,
just...
sometimes when I warm up for games that I'm really nervous for, I will be like yawning and my eyes feel super heavy. Yeah. And I'm like, why am I falling asleep when I'm about to play like a huge game? And I think it's a nerve thing that like almost has the reverse effect almost. Yeah. And then of course I'm stressing about the way, like, why do I feel like this? Why am I so tired? Why am I so out of it? Why this? And then I have to go play against the best in the world. And it's just like so stupid and it's so unfair because I wish I could just go and be nervous about the volleyball game. But
it's like, hey, how about we all play with this and see what happens? You guys have no idea what I'm going through.
You know, you hear like, oh, I was nervous, or oh, my back hurt, or oh, this, and I'm like, yeah, I thought I was gonna die. Yeah. The whole match, and then I was also like really nervous because I am getting served every ball by Zoe and Esme and Laura and Luisa, who are like the best servers in the world, and I'm also having a panic attack, and it's just, I think I used to feel so sorry for myself, and now I've kind of framed it in a way where it's like, in a weird way, against China, I think I was playing well because I wasn't thinking about volleyball. I was thinking about like literally taking steps. Like that's what was going through my mind. Like I walked back to the player box at a timeout and my arms felt like numb. Like I felt like I was going to collapse like that. And that's happened to me before, but it's like when you're thinking about like taking every breath, like breathing and like walking, you're not really thinking about.
You're fully detached.
Volleyball, fully detached. But then I'm still like passing well and siding out because that's like, I've done it for so many years. Yeah. It's been really cool to see how I've been able to manage that stuff. And my mom and dad, like they feel so bad because they see, I tell that, tell them and they see it. And it's just crazy that I've been able to like manage this type of stuff, usually off the court but sometimes on the court too. And I have to go to all these tournaments and a lot of people don't sleep and a lot of people get sick and a lot of people do these, but I think sometimes mine's more heightened. Like I really haven't slept. Like you guys went to bed at 1 a.m. I went to bed at 5 a.m. and slept till 7. Like, and it's just, I've tried to like reframe it. And the more I've posted about it and talked about it, the more people have reached out and shared their stories or, and that's really cool. And I think that's kind of become my why for all of this. Not for playing volleyball, but just, a passion of mine is like helping people. And I didn't realize how big this was for me and the majority of the population goes through anxiety, depression, panic to some extent. Yep. Maybe it's a one-off. I was so nervous for this game, or I was so nervous for this exam, I felt this, you know what I mean? But I've been trying to find this identity, this not identity, but like an image, I guess. Like for example, Evan has his blue nose thing. He's from Louisiana, and that's like his thing. And I've been trying to kind of find mine. And honestly, I think it's this niche and this like topic of mental health, and I don't want my whole identity to be like I have anxiety, like pity me, because that's not what I want. But I want to be able to like share my stories and help people. I thought of starting support groups, and I thought of starting like, you know, little workshops and little things to like get people together to talk more about this stuff. And because sometimes just sharing your experience goes a really long way. And the weird saying, it's like misery loves company. Like sometimes it's nice when someone's like, oh yeah,
For sure.
I felt that. Like, oh yeah, I've been like that. You know, it's like,
Well, it makes you feel like you're not crazy.
yeah,
Because a lot of people,
Yeah.
I'm sure that you probably thought that you were something of an exception.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the only person who's
Right.
like living this incredible life, and then I have panic attacks. Well, guess who also has them? Zanamuno.
Yeah.
Has them all the time.
Yeah.
Huntington was like the first tournament that she hasn't had a panic attack in years.
it's just
It happened.
it's so messed up. It's so like, and then I get jealous too. I get jealous of people who don't like get this.
Have the roadblocks that you.
I get jealous and I get angry, and I'm like, why me? For a long time, it was like, why me? 2022, I think it was 2023, beginning of 2023, end of 2022 was like one of the lowest points of my whole life, because I was so. It turned into like a depression almost. Like anxiety and depression are best friends, and so a lot of it kind of goes hand in hand. I like to think I'm like the happiest person ever.
Yeah, right.
But it kind of goes together. And this is a kind of sponsor shout out to Root and Fruit Nutrition. This lady, Sarah, we did my DNA testing, and that came back, you know, a lot of interesting things there, but I really want to do the neurotransmitter hormone test. And we did that. And it was like the most eye-opening thing for me, because her text when she got the results was, "You're not crazy." And just seeing that message was probably one of the best text messages, one of the best things I've ever heard in my entire life, because we went back and we looked at all the stuff, and she's like, my levels were like so.
So your
levels of
what was this?
what?
I want to
Yeah.
pull it up. It was my neurotransmitters.
Okay.
So it's, why can't I think of it? My phone's over there. It's not cortisol. There's another glutamate. Glutamate
Okay.
is like your excitatory neurotransmitter. Yeah. It's your excitatory neurotransmitter. And mine, the range, let's see if I can pull it up right now to see how messed up I was.
Yeah.
Was crazy. My estrogen was like way high.
Huh.
Like little things like that you don't really. I'm not signed into this account. I can kind of explain it. But
Yeah.
so glutamate's your excitatory neurotransmitter, like I said. And the normal range was between like 500 and 1,000 or 1,500 micrograms or whatever the range. Mine was at 5,500. Like way high. Serotonin, that's like your happy
Right.
level. Mine was like way low, which is crazy, because I feel like I'm a pretty positive,
For sure. 100%.
happy person.
Yep.
And my estrogen was super high. So like there's these little things that we kind of gathered that was so awesome to see, because I'm like, wow, these things are this way I feel this way for a reason.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't always make me feel better, but it's like, at least I know there's a problem. For the longest time, it was just like, you're fine, you're this, take a Xanax,
You're
take a
almost
this.
questioning your personality, right? You're like,
100%.
I believe I'm this person, but then why am I? I'm not an anxious, like,
Yeah.
the feeling. I feel the same way a lot of the time. I'm like positive, chill guy, right? And then you get these things. You're like, well, why am I anxious all the time? Or why am I depressed? That's not me.
Yeah.
So it's like identifying it's like it's like an identity crisis. So you're like, but I'm not this person.
Yeah.
But then you're like, well, am I? And it starts to like tempt you to change your personal reality of
Totally.
yourself.
And it makes me like,
Until you realize that, oh, this isn't, like, there's nothing I can do about it.
yeah,
This
like
is
there's
just something
actual,
that's happening
there's
to me.
chemical imbalances in my brain and in my
Yeah.
body. I've also learned that like your gut health, your gut holds like a ton of like neurotransmitters and serotonin and all these things. Like your gut and mind health is all kind of connected. And I have IBS, which is such a stupid thing. It's like, you have irritable bowel syndrome. What does that mean? Like, no, it's like same thing with anxiety.
Yep.
It's this whole massive term that's like, you could have any of these 50 symptoms,
Right.
and we're gonna call it this like one thing,
Right.
Exactly.
and there's nothing you can really do about it.
Exactly.
You just have it. So I've had IBS for however long,
Right.
just all these stomach things, not celiac, not Crohn's, nothing like that, but just
That runs in my
IBS.
family
Yeah.
as well.
And then I have anxiety, and it's like many symptoms. Can you do something? You take medication. Will it help?
You
Maybe.
can't attach to these labels like
Exactly.
it's like me with my myositis, dermatomyositis. Google it.
Yeah.
People with spots and rashes and like don't go in. You can't go in the sun. I'm like, when I read that, I was like, what do you
You're
mean?
screwed.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. I'm
Yeah.
moving to Mars or
Yeah.
something. But even to this day, it's like me looking up the definition and different symptoms of myositis isn't helpful at all.
No.
It's like literally just a name, so I can tell the doctor, like, and they're like, oh, okay, generally this is kind of what happens with people like that. It's like to give them a starting point.
Yeah.
That's like how accurate it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The amount of times I've gone to the doctor, I'm not like a crazy, like I don't go to the doctor all the time, but like I went in high school, I faint and my heart, like I think it was a panic attack. My heart was racing out of control, got to like 180 and I passed out. And I go to the doctor and I go to EKGs and heart ultrasounds and all that, like, and they're like, there's nothing wrong with you. Like,
It's almost pisses you off more, right?
yeah, I've wanted to have a solution to this problem because I talked to my dad a lot about it because he like kind of gets it, but he's also just so understanding, and he'll let me like talk about these crazy symptoms I get, and he'll be like, okay, that's okay. Like he doesn't ever make me, the worst thing is when I'm like, have you ever felt this way? And they're like, no, that's so weird. I'm
Right.
like, okay, great. I'm dying.
Go
Or I'm
ahead.
crazy. Get
I'm dying.
things wrong with me.
Yeah.
So like, I've always had him, and my mom's great too, but you know, he just listens so well, and he has a way of making me feel like I'm not crazy. And so for so long, I've just known that I've had a problem, and I've always just wanted answers, and to just kind of have answers, even if the solution isn't like, because with Sarah, with Rootin' for Nutrition, like she's on the same page as me. Like we don't need to take medication, but we can add supplements or like add or remove foods in your diet that like can help increase this or decrease this. And that's why I think 75 Hard was so great for me, because I cut out added sugars, I cut out alcohol, I cut out gluten, and I added reading and meditation and more workouts and this. And it was like, I feel the best I've ever felt in my entire life. And now everything in moderation, of course. Like now I know, okay, if I drink wine, I may be super anxious or feel a certain way the next day. And
Yeah.
now I know like there's a time and a place to do it. Maybe I should only do it on special occasions.
It's getting heightened too with our age.
Yep.
I had wine the other night at a wedding. Same thing. It's like, that was not a lot of wine. Why do I feel
so terrible?
bad?
Yeah. In college, I never I used to rage and never I'd go like play.
Oh,
Never.
This is real life.
It's not real life. And I am not that far. I'm 25. I'm like, I shouldn't be having all these problems, I guess. I don't know. But it's just been so eye-opening to see. And me and my dad have talked about this a lot. Like, he's like, everyone has, what does he call it? He puts it in a really nice way where like everyone has problems and this is yours. Like
Right.
disadvantages and I, like I said, I would get so angry and so jealous of people who didn't have anxiety. But if you look at all the other like problems you could have, like I am healthy.
Yeah.
I may not feel like it.
Maybe this is your moment too, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what's happening to this person in their 30s.
Exactly.
It's happening to you in your 20s. You're going to get through it and then be on a good path. And, you know, life is so long. Like, to think that
So crazy.
this is my thing and it's always going to be here and I'm always going to be at a disadvantage to everyone else. It's like, caring about what other people's opinions are of you, but also like assuming you know what everyone else is going through at the same time. It's right.
There's way bigger problems than what I'm going through in the world. And that's the thing with my anxiety. It's like, I may have these issues for the rest of my life, but it's all a perspective, right? And shifting your mindset of like, okay, I have this, and how can I turn anxiety into a superpower?
Yeah.
Almost.
The way I think of it is like, how can I take what I was given and hopefully get to 90 years old and be able to look back and be like, I'm actually glad I got that.
Yeah.
Because I used it to make a better impact or like, it'll probably be hard, but when you're looking back, you're not going to be like, that wasn't a great life because it was difficult. You're like, oh no, I got through stuff, taught other people stuff, I think that's kind of the
Be so fulfilling. Yeah.
It's kind of like that saying, never let
Really
a problem
hard.
go to waste.
yeah,
And
exactly.
that's used mostly in a business sense, where if you see a problem and you solve it, you're going to have a successful business.
Right.
But in a personal sense, you took a problem with your autoimmune, and it's become a pretty cool part of your story.
Totally.
Yeah,
And
right. And I think that's what you were getting to earlier too. Is like you making this your thing. It's not like okay, I got to pick a cause, and you're going down a list. Like, what's my cause? How am I going to do a good thing? You know, you're not picking this thing.
Yeah.
You're just being authentic.
Yeah.
You're just being honest about the things that you're going through. Same with me. Like whatever. Myositis Association gave me an award or something recently. I'm like, oh,
He's like,
what?
wow.
Just for being honest and like, oh yeah, no, I have this issue, just sharing it, stuff like that.
yeah,
Well, I think I'm such an open person. So talking about this isn't hard for me. For certain people, like, people go through things like this and never tell a soul ever. And I think times have also changed too. And this is way more common and way more talked about and stuff. But I just I can't imagine not talking about it because it makes me feel less crazy, makes me feel more normal. And I have a community of people who either relate or understand or support me or want to help or whatever. But I just I'm still, this journey. I mean, I've been dealing with this since I was little, like 5 or 6 years old, like having these issues, and it kind of ebbs and flows where certain phases of my life are worse and I feel almost crippled by this. Like in college, I spent months, like I would get up, I'd go to the gym, I'd go to practice, and I'd come and nap all day because it would suck the life out of me and I couldn't fathom like doing anything else. I let it just like run my life. It happened in high school too. I let it just run my life, and I'm at a point now where I don't know if that would happen again. Maybe. Sometimes it's so crippling you can't do anything. Some days, like last year with Evan, it was really tough on our relationship because he was constantly having to reassure me, like, you're okay. What can I do for you? This and it broke him down. Like, how can you be? He was responsible for my emotions and my thoughts. Like, I relied so heavily on him to like tell me I'm okay and like be there for me and listen to all these crazy thoughts going through my head. And like, he doesn't get it. Like he doesn't get it. He probably never will get it, but he wanted to support it. And it took a toll on our relationship because I was expecting him to understand it and totally be always 100% willing to like drop everything and be there for me when I had a panic attack, which he can't do. Like, you can't, like, at the end of the day, I have to figure this out, especially because he doesn't understand it. And so he was so amazing, and it was hard. And because then I felt guilty, like putting it on him and putting in, like, needing him. I was so dependent on him for reassurance and reminders of like, hey, you're not going to die. You're okay. How, like, that must weigh so much on someone to be telling someone, like, I can't imagine like dealing with me at that point. I've gotten so much better, but like my journey's still ongoing. Like, clearly I just had a really tough week.
you're undefeated against death so far.
I am undefeated so far. I'm
26 years ago.
25,
25.
doing pretty good. And that's like, but sometimes like when I don't sleep or I drink or the certain parts of my cycle, like I don't have the ability to like talk myself off the ledge. I think like when I'm super clear-minded and I'm like not drinking and eating well and working out and I'm home in my routine and something comes up, I'm so like, I'm good. We're good. Everything's fine. But when I'm like, I think especially the sleep thing, like I just spiral out of control because you're so like, you're just not thinking. You're just not thinking clearly.
You're just not at your best when you're not sleeping.
It's so important. Me and I like having this Aura ring and then doing this 75 heart. It's been so cool to see. Like, sometimes it sucks. Sometimes you want to just be a degenerate and like not sleep and stay out and do fun things and travel and whatever. But like sleep is so important, and hydration and fueling is so important. Like I don't know how people live certain lives.
I know, really. And then you think of people who don't seem to take care of themselves, and they're just good.
But are they good?
What?
But are they?
That's our perception.
That's the thing. Like, that's this whole mental health thing, especially in like men's mental health, is like people don't talk about this stuff.
Right.
And you could seem like, for me,
for sure.
When I posted that whole thing about having all these problems, people were like, what? You seem so happy and you seem so this. And how are you doing? Like, how are you like? I'm like,
You're like, I am happy.
I am happy. I just have this like crippling thing. It's like, it just is my little buddy. Here, just hanging out. It's always there. But, yeah, it's been very interesting. I've dealt with it for many years. I played with it. I've not played with it, and everyone kind of knows, but it's now turned into like, how can this become my superpower, and how can I use it to better myself, better those around me, and show people that you can still follow your dreams and live your life with something that is so hard. And there are definitely worse days than others. Like, there are days where I can't do anything. I'm so exhausted, or I'm so anxious that I just like need to go sleep all day.
Yeah.
And it's just being kind to yourself too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is like, when you do come across those days when you're just having a tough time, like, have you learned to choose to be kind to yourself, give yourself a break? You know what? Your body's asking for a break.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to it. Or is it, no, I'm a professional athlete. Practice is on the schedule. I'm going to go show up. I'm going to do the entire routine. I'm going to go to lifting after. That's kind of been like a tricky thing for me.
Totally.
'Cause I'm like, I do it. If it's on the
guilt.
schedule, I do
you feel
it.
guilty if you're not, if you're not going to the gym, and you're not doing recovery, you're not doing these things. And like, I think there's certain days, and this is how you need to learn about yourself. Like, there's certain days where you need to take like a personal day and say, you know what? I'm not doing shit today.
And it might not be scheduled, because you don't get to decide when these things.
Oh, yeah, you wake up and you
don't decide if you didn't sleep the night before.
Exactly.
Or 5.
Yeah. You can't decide to, I don't sleep for 5 days. I'm playing in this Elite 16 qualifier tomorrow. Like, I didn't come all this way to not play.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like knowing yourself, like when to push and when to rest. Like this week, I'm not really playing volleyball or lifting. I feel like it's a good time, not because of the week I had, but just I feel like it's the right time to take a break. And that's a lot of times in sports, people don't know when to like shut it down, because you feel like that guilt of like, I'm not doing enough. But sometimes doing less is doing more for your body. And
black and white with sports, because like, it starts at 8 a.m. Like, this thing is happening from this time to this time. You have to be ready during that. If your thing, whatever it is, panic attack, sickness, you're tired, you're swollen, whatever, if it happens during that time block, you can't just push it back like in the normal world. Yeah. It's just, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love, one of my favorite sayings is, partly because I never listened to it, is the key to a great work ethic is a great rest ethic.
Yeah.
And that's why when Evan, he comes in January, February, like, he is hot and heavy. I want to practice every day of the week. I'm like, all right, we're scheduling mandated 2-week sabbaticals during this break in the season and this break in the season. And he came back from, you guys went camping with Meska maybe, or Meska recommended a spot.
Yeah.
Because I feel so rejuvenated. Yeah. And then like last week he was trying to get back after. I was like, can you just not jump? Let's just not jump. Let's rest you up. Yeah. You don't need to know. You're not going to win Manhattan in the middle of May. Right. You need to chill, because the long year with the league and everything. But
we could not be more different, by the way. He is like, I want to play volleyball 3 times a day and lift and then sauna and then stretch 15 times a day and then sleep 12 hours and not drink and eat like the most clean food. And I'm like, I'm going to practice. I'm going to lift. I'm going to get those done. I'm going to be super intentional in those couple hours. And then I'm going to watch my TV show, and I'm going to go see my friends.
Yeah.
I'm going to, go do my thing. Like, but it works. And I feel like we're in very similar positions. Like, we've had very similar finishes, and we do such different things. Yeah. And it works well for both of us.
You got it, yeah. It's not like, well, Evan's doing that, so I got to do that.
Yeah.
Try's doing what he's doing. Everyone really has to build their own thing for themselves. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. But I guess the last thing I'll say, because I feel like we need to go, but I would just, my biggest thing is talking about it is huge. At least for me. I think it can only help people to talk about things like one trusted person. And if you don't have that person, like, you can DM me. Like, I want to help people, and that I'm kind of like in the works of maybe starting like kind of a support group or something. I'm trying to figure out the logistics, because I'm not a psychiatrist or a sports or a psychologist. I mean, like, so
a listener knows a good way to do that.
Yeah, because I want to do whether it's Zoom meetings or like people can talk to me, but I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not promising anything, but I would love to like help people. But talking about it is great, and then learning about yourself and knowing like when to push and when to rest. And I just think also getting outside is so, I mean, we've talked about that, like being in nature,
100%.
even just a walk outside, even if you, like on my worst days, I always try and get outside, even if it's like sitting in a chair in the sun to get some like sun.
Yeah.
Like, I swear I'm solar powered. Literally, when the sun's out, I am a
You're
different
talking to the king of solar power.
When it's cloudy like this, I am like the most emo.
I just surfed and I was in the surfing, just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Like, where's the sun? It was
Need the sun.
cloudy.
I laid out yesterday and I was like, I feel like
I'll literally touch
different person.
trees, just like to put my hand on it. And it's
so good for you.
Oh, that's nice.
Seriously though, it's like, even if you're not
tells
that
me like,
person,
why do I live here in this concrete jungle?
literally concrete jungle. If you go to PV and look back this way from like that little point, it's the scariest sight. You're like, what are we live there?
And then the water
thing
had poop in it for like 2 weeks recently.
So gnarly.
It did.
Brett Favre said it all.
Is that when it was brown like that? Is that what that was?
Yeah. Well, I don't know what it was.
It's not
but
like the
yeah.
whole ocean was shit.
Yeah, but the water
down
was like
to, like,
really
yeah,
bad.
It was bad. I was supposed to go spearfishing, and my buddy was like, "Bro, you can't see anything."
Well,
So
Poop fishing.
yeah.
It's
Disgusting.
I was like, all right, let's wait till.
There was a lot of trash out there today. The water's cleaner, but it was legit like bags and microplastics. From
Yeah.
like
It
everywhere.
makes me so sad.
And the waves sucked, and it was cold.
Yeah.
I was just like, don't be negative. Don't be negative. You're outside. This is fun.
This is fun.
This is
Fun.
fun.
I'm having a great time.
Well, that's why me and Dee, we go to Yosemite in the middle of the summer every year. We got a backpacking trip at the end of June, like right before Montana, actually. Because I knew like the first 6.5 months of the season was just going to be like headlong sprint with you guys and Betsy and Julia and the podcast and commentating, whatever else. And so I've been looking forward to that Yosemite trip where I was just no service for 4 days and you just nature.
So good.
Yeah.
Greatest place in the world.
I'll have to live in that. But remember Brett Favre was on the show, and he,
But that was you guys. I wouldn't,
Oh yeah,
that's
that
one
was
you
you.
that I missed.
wait, what?
That was you and Sav.
That was
Oh.
we were together.
Yeah.
He said at one point, he's like, where do your dogs poop? Yeah, and then
On the
then
strand.
we're like, they're sometimes just in the middle of the crosswalk in the road. They don't know. They just panic and they
Right.
just poop. And he's like, and you guys pick it up? He's like, I've never picked up dog shit in my whole life. Because his dogs just run on the property.
Field,
They
Mississippi.
just run out. I was like, wow, you make me feel really
Meanwhile, there's like dog shit
And I
smeared
hate
all
it.
on the strand.
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh.
Someone tries to, there's, for those of you who don't come to the strand, the dogs just poop right there on the strand.
Yeah.
And luckily 99% of the people pick it up, but then it's, it's wet sometimes. So then you just see finger marks
Yeah.
on the strand, and you're kind of trying to dodge that too. And they don't like sit there and try to scrape it all up. Like that's just a bit much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're just, yeah. You're like, man, these dogs are so confused. They're just like, I don't know what to
Give
do.
me a patch of grass, man.
Shit myself. I've seen them multiple times in the middle of the crosswalk. Like
Yeah, I
I'm at
can't
the
make
stop
it.
sign, and they're just like, I'm doing it here.
Yep.
And the people are like panicking to get the bag. Oh, sorry. I'm like in the middle of the street trying to pick up the dog's poop.
So true.
I don't know how I got on that topic, but pretty good.
Nature's good for you.
Nature.
Good.
Yeah. Nature's
Oh.
good.
it's I don't get me started.
Well, that's why.
As I leave to Tahiti in 5 days.
Right.
Oh yeah, I'm out. I don't
Epic.
care what the plane ticket costs.
Yeah.
I need to go hug a coconut tree.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I
that's
remember when like Kelly, Chang, and Syracuse, like they won their world championship and then had a tough tournament in Doha. I don't know if they broke pool at World Tour Finals or they had a bad tournament, and Jordan was like, dude, like, I gotta shorten the off season, we gotta get better at so many things. And I was talking to you, I was like, I think I'd tell you to like take an extra month off to go surfing. And you're like,
Right.
maybe you should be my coach.
Like tired.
Dude,
You hear me right now? Get me the hell out of here.
Tahiti.
Exactly. Jesus Christ. I'm not built for this.
Yeah. Well, Sav, well, where can people find you and just start a conversation with you about, something they're struggling with or whatever it may be?
Yeah, Insta. I'm so bad at my phone, which is a good thing because I'm trying to be like more present in my life. But Instagram, my Instagram name is just Savvy Simo. I'll keep an eye on the DMs. But yeah, for volleyball or anything, follow there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to do just a quick follow-up because we got to land the plane so I can help Dee cook dinner. But have you found that does social media increase your
I
anxiety?
hate social media so much.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I read the most interesting study the other day where they polled high schoolers and they said that do you feel that social media is like necessary for you to have? And they said yes.
Yes.
And they said, but if you could have everyone delete their social media, would you? And it was like 80% said yes.
Huh.
I thought that was fascinating. That everyone's
scary.
It's like everyone's on it because
Everyone else is
everyone's
on it. Yeah.
but no one wants anyone else to be on it. I think that's so crazy.
Another flip side of it is though, like I watch through so many of these like inspirational videos
Yeah.
and like these Buddhist people, these quotes, and that like now I'm getting addicted to these things, and I'm like,
Yeah.
these are really positive things to be popping up in my life. So I'm like, so is social media good? But it's so scary, especially when you think about it in that way. And then I get sucked in. Damn it.
Right.
I open this to check my DMs because someone messaged me or whatever, collaborate on just to do one thing. And like, damn it, 5 minutes later.
Right.
Well, social media, like I think when used the right way, it can be so awesome to connect people and to like for me, I want to like use it as a platform to like share my story. Obviously,
reach out to
yeah,
you right
obviously like update people on volleyball, of course, but like, they can reach out to, it's cool to see like my friends doing these things and then like the motivational stuff. But I've noticed that, I mean, it can be so toxic. Like I look at like comments on like big accounts, sports accounts usually, and I'll click the comments and it's like, why do people feel so entitled to like say the most nasty stuff behind a screen? Like it's so bad. It's so bad. And I think as an athlete, like we put ourselves out there on the line all the time for criticism all the time. And if you have your opinion behind closed doors, great. But like people are putting that out in the world. And high school, for young kids, they're developing brains. I just think it's so bad. But it's not just social media. I just think it's technology in general. And don't get me started. This would be a whole nother podcast. But I notice when I'm like scrolling on my phone for 20 minutes and I get off my phone, I feel that kind of like dissociation, fogginess. And I literally like freak out because I'm like, I feel like shit after going on my phone for 20 minutes. I need to like go outside and get off my phone and turn on some music and just like look at like nature or look at the street. It doesn't even matter. Like you get so caught up in this spiral, even if it's like you're looking at positive things, like the screen itself. And it has a way of like, then you'll be thinking or talking about something. And of course that whatever in the universe is hearing you and it puts it on your phone. And then you like, get down the rabbit hole. It's so twisted and kind of scary, actually. Like I said, this is a whole nother topic for a different day, but it's
documentaries on that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's crazy. And again, I think it could be used for good, just like phones. Like, what would we do without phones? What would we do? Like, but people live without phones for a very long time.
We'd freak out. It's like COVID, where we're all like, oh my God, the world's fine. And then at the end of it, we're all like, ooh, that was pretty nice.
Hey.
I took time off. I chilled out for a second.
Yeah. So, but it's
home now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Find me on social media, but don't expect a response like immediately because I don't go on it all the time.
Yeah. That's a good way to be.
There you go.
Social media is just, it's an amplifier.
Yeah.
If your social media has negative stuff, it's just blow that up. If it's Buddhist positive things, that's the direction it's going.
Yeah.
But Sav, appreciate you being so open.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
Great to have you back on the Blue Couch. Good to have the
I know.
team back
This was
together.
nice. And thanks for letting me share my story.
Might have to call you in
That's what it's all about.
for subbing duties.
Oh, yeah.
Summer of Try is about
I'm here all of June. I'm here
Just FaceTime me in on a few episodes.
on the beach in Tahiti. Yeah.
I can pretty much.
I'm sure you're gonna want it
on the shores. There.
No, but thanks for having me. And I just love you guys. And it's cool to be able to share my stuff too. I love hearing everyone's stories, but I like sharing.
Yeah.
Kind of everything.
Super impactful.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Right on, guys. All right, the Summer of Try begins.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Hug some trees.
Touch trees.